Happy Thursday and welcome to another edition of Husker Online Headlines. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple. We are in the thick of the month of August. Training camp is in very tense second week, and we're going to get into the headlines here again as we talk on Husker Online Headlines here. But before we get to that, Husker Online Headlines this week brought to you by Homefield. If you're not familiar with Homefield and its premium collegiate athletic apparel, it is no better time right now to get upgraded and updated with some of the best Husker gear out there. And this is the unique stuff, the stuff that you're not going to necessarily find at your bigger retail stores in town. They have very custom, cool items, shirts, sweatshirts, hats, you name it. They have other teams too, besides Nebraska. So check them out on their website at Homefield. It's homefieldapparel.com.
Ooh, I like that.
And we are going to give you 15% off on your order with promo code Husker24. That's at homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Husker24. Thanks again to Homefield. And before I get into our headline number one, I also want to mention again, next Thursday night, we are going to be live at the Zipline Beer Hall for a special preseason Husker Online show. We'll still have our regular two shows. This is going to be a live show. Headlines is going to be probably moved to Friday next week is my guess. We have to, because we're going to adjust for the live schedule that we're going to do on Thursday night. But we'll be live out there, and they're going to have some great specials, 6:30 showtime, but they're going to do $3 pints on any Zipline the entire time you're there. They're going to have some food available. And there are a lot of prizes they're going to give away.
There'll be good food, by the way. This is a high. We full disclosure, we ate at Zipline last night.
Yeah, we ate at Zipline. It was phenomenal.
The wings are really good, and I had a Zipline beer for the first time. And I'm not a beer drinker. I drink beer on occasion, but the Zipline's really good. I was taken by it. How smooth it is. Smooth. So,
and you're kind of a wing snob, and these
big wing snob.
These really passed the test.
Oh, I had like 15 of them. I don't know if you noticed. I just kept eating them like I was a coyote. I mean, you didn't say anything about my lack of restraint, but when I was driving home, I was like, I wonder if I embarrassed Sean.
Well, the dessert. Were you there when the dessert came out?
Yes, Sean. I was there when the dessert came out.
Okay,
that was a lot of it. Yeah. The food, I'm telling you. It's not bar food. I mean, it's excellent food. I mean, nothing against bar food, but this was great bar food.
So they have a great tap house and restaurant in Fallbrook. We're going to be at the Beer Hall in South Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal partner for Husker Online, and we're looking forward to that. And we want you to join us. And maybe Steve Sipple will give like free Harley rides in the back.
No.
Take the Harley out to give some free rides.
Doesn't seem like a good idea.
You and Husker Dave could give Harley rides.
Yeah. I mean, if you want me to, I could.
Okay.
I might drive it out there. I need to drive it more.
Let's get to the headlines here. Headline number one for Nebraska. Fall camp scrimmage number one will take place on Saturday. And this is a big one. I mean, we got the open practice last Saturday. That was a half padded deal. They've gone 6 days. They'll go 6 days in a row this week, commencing with a scrimmage on Saturday, and you generally only get 2 of these in fall camp. So we're looking at Saturday and then probably the following Saturday. Those are going to be major scrimmages for Nebraska. What do you think will come out of this first scrimmage?
So well, first of all, we don't get to watch it, and it kills me. It literally hurts me that we can't watch it because I'd love to watch it. Well, okay, what you're looking for, Sean? Come on. What you'd be looking for, what you should be looking for is how's the offensive line move the line of scrimmage and how do they protect? That's the thing I would zone in on hard. Just are they moving the line of scrimmage? Is the run game, the conventional run game, the running back running game productive? Are they getting some yards? And I'm not looking for Michigan of 2023 or 2022. I'm just looking for a run game that can take pressure off Dylan Raiola. That's the number one thing.
Running it on schedule.
Yeah. You say that a lot, and I totally agree. That's a good way to put it.
I think you have to define the run game in 2 areas.
Okay.
Can it be on schedule, and can they win in short yardage?
Meaning on first down,
Can you get 4
or 5? Yeah.
And going back to years ago, Randy Jordan was the old running backs coach at Nebraska, and he used to tell us backs, "Get me my 4. Just get me my 4 first.
Yeah.
And then we'll worry about the rest."
Yeah.
But you want to try to go for at least 4 yards. And
on first down.
Dylan Raiola on 2nd and 6 is a lot different of a quarterback than 2nd and 9.
Yeah, any quarterback.
Quarterback.
But when you give Dylan 2nd and 6 with that group of, and I would add to the conversation, the group of receivers he now has and tight ends, and I always lump them, but the group of receivers and tight ends, Nebraska could be dangerous if they stay on schedule.
And then the other thing is short yardage. Can you get 3rd and 2s and 3rd and 1s, and obviously
Absolutely.
4th and 1s?
Yeah, and if I'm over there watching the scrimmage, that's what I'm looking for. Then probably the second thing I'm looking for is, what does the passing game look like? Are the receivers getting separation? Who's he going to?
50-50 balls.
50-50 balls. Then you have to switch your focus to defense a little bit. I mean, you don't want to see the offense marching it all the time. I think we're very confident in the defense, but you want to see, I mean, you're looking for tackling, sound tackling. You're looking just for overall soundness. There's really shouldn't be any busts. There really shouldn't, not with the first team. So those are the sort of things I'm looking for. You're looking at the kicking game too, by the way.
The second quarterback, I mean, you assume that's Harburg right now, but can Gramstad put together a good scrimmage? Where's Kalen at? I mean, I would like to see or hear how the other quarterbacks perform.
Oh yeah. What's Gramstad look like in this, moving up from NAIA to the big league? What's that look like? Can he move the team?
I mean, it's not out of the question that he could play in that opener. If Nebraska gets up on UTEP, and Harburg's valuable too. They may not want to just throw Harburg out there, if the game's late. So it's not out of the discussion that this guy could be playing in this opener, especially if Kalen's going to redshirt. But the beauty is Kalen can play 4 games. Gramstad, if they want to keep him here another year, could play 4 games. So they have options with the quarterbacks, and obviously Harburg, what he can do, and Raiola is the guy.
Let's enter the danger zone real fast. The danger zone is when we start coaching the team. I'm going to do this. Coach Sipple, you know what I'm going to do in this scrimmage? I'm going to put a hell of a lot of pressure on the kickers. A hell of a lot of pressure. I'm going to do what I can to create situations where they got to make it, where John Hull has got to line up from 42 yards with players shouting, coaches shouting, doing whatever you got to do. You make it. Nico Ottamelli, same thing. I'd emphasize it. We're gonna make sure we kick a lot in this scrimmage.
Well, and will Tristan Alvano be back?
Well, that's something to watch too.
Like next week. Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the team, they might be moving out of the dorms this weekend. I think
it's going to be 10 days.
So yeah, this will be it. So this scrimmage on Saturday and whatever they do. I mean, I would imagine by Sunday, because people are moving in onto campus for different things, like sorority rush and things. There's things that start up coming up here in the coming weeks.
Well, Sean, I said 10 to 12 days is what Matt said, I believe.
Well, yeah. So Wednesday of last week.
Okay.
Or Tuesday, Tuesday of last week. Yeah. And then now so
that'd be about right.
I think they'll be out. I mean, kind of a lot of buzz last year about, we haven't really seen or heard. We haven't seen postings of like dorm pranks this year. It's just kind of
old hat now.
Business as usual.
Yeah. Kind of old hat now. So yeah, scrimmages, they're always big. It'd be, again, I reiterate, I just love to be able to watch it. I'm not suggesting that we should. I just really, those times when we were able to watch the August scrimmages under former coaches, you came away with no matter what, you knew the personnel so well. You knew we know it pretty well now, though. So it would just be, I'd just like to see how the offense executes.
Yeah, there's young guys that you want to see, like Ja'Cory Barney,
Vincent
Shavers, Carter Nelson. Like, as much as we've seen Carter Nelson, we've not seen him live a lot as a Husker.
No, that'd be nice to see. And both of us missed the Saturday open practice last week. Yeah, I mean, is it look, just right there's Jalen Lloyd back. Will he be back in this practice? What's Malachi Coleman look like? There's a zillion things to watch. That's the beauty of football. It's the beauty of covering football. There's always a lot to talk about because there's so many moving parts.
All right, thanks for joining us here on HuskerOnline Headlines. Before we get to headline number 2, HuskerOnline Headlines brought to you by Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business owners protect their purpose for over 120 years. With risk management solutions built for local businesses, Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial insurance, group benefits, business exit planning, safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Are your employee benefit costs going through the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years and sell the business to a family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your business and the employees in it, your life outside of work, or your future retirement goals. Head to ellerbrock-norris.com/HuskerOnline today. That's ellerbrock-norris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Thank you again to Ellerbrock-Norris for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, headline number 2. Let's discuss the situation at the offensive line right now.
Okay.
Teddy Prohaska out for the season. He's torn his other ACL on his knee. Just a bombshell. Turner Corcoran has been held out of practices here early in camp. So you start to zone in on that situation on the offensive line. It's scary because the margin for error is razor thin. There's possibilities. You could always move like Micah Mazuka, or you could move a Ben Scott. Some of those guys could probably play tackle.
Could Mazuka play tackle?
I'm sure he could. But he's having such a good camp.
Okay. I was thinking about this morning. I've sounded sort of, my tone has been sort of one of alarm. As you just said, how'd you describe the situation? It's a scary situation. Razor thin, scary. We're using terms like that. Now I wonder if in-house they're thinking of it that way. Does Donovan think of it that way? Donovan Raiola? I don't know. Does Rule think of it that way? Would he watch our video and go, why you guys sounding these alarms? We have guys. I mean, have you ever heard of Gunnar Gatula?
Yeah, but you're talking about the Big Ten Conference here.
I know. I mean,
Gatula.
I'm representing their voice right now.
I mean, you're talking about going against NFL edge players,
right,
in one of the best linemen producing pro leagues in the country.
Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering if they can't afford to think like we do. I want to make it clear. I mean, I'm with you on it's sort of a scary situation, but it's maybe confusing to our listeners who have heard media say the offensive line and defensive line have so much depth. Then all of a sudden there's one injury and we're saying it's scary.
Well, they had 3 quality tackles. Now they have 2.
Right.
I mean, that's scary. Like,
right.
When you had,
but why would the media all?
Because they felt like they had 3 guys: a 41-game starter in
Yeah.
Bryce Benhart, a 30-game starter in Turner Corcoran, and around a 10-game starter in Teddy Prohaska at tackle.
But the fact is, they didn't have a lot of depth.
Yeah, they had 3. If all 3 are available, that's a great situation.
Yeah.
You take out one, but I think they're, from what I wouldn't have been surprised if Corcoran was going to win that job in the first place.
Right.
I mean,
that's
I think that's like the lead that's been buried here.
Right. I totally agree.
I think Corcoran is actually trending to beat out
to be the one. Now how do you feel about that is the question. Corcoran,
31-game starter,
which is good, but we've also seen a level of
30
struggle.
Games, sorry.
Yeah, we've also seen a level of struggle. What I hope is that Turner Corcoran says, this is it for me. I'm going to have a big year. I'm going to make this a profession, and I need to have a big year. And then you see all that talent come out. Mainly, though, you just hope he stays healthy, number one. And, I don't know.
Could better offensive play, better quarterback play actually help the O-line?
Yeah, good point.
I mean, when you have quarterbacks that miss their reads and they start scrambling around and they get hit or sacked and everyone's blaming the O-line for that, that's not really the O-line's fault.
No, it's not.
Dylan Raiola is going. I mean, I think he's going to be able to step back, make reads. He's not going to just dance around back there.
Now, will they be efficient enough up front to have a conventional running back run game? That's the other thing to watch. We've covered that, though. We don't need to cover that. their guard situation isn't perfect either in terms of depth.
Mazuka's good.
No, I know. I like the starters, Mazuka and Evans. But now they got an injury to Henry Latovsky. You don't know how that's going to go. Again, I say also they lose one guy and all of a sudden there's concern. If there was so much depth, why is that? See, I don't buy it. I just don't think. I think the D line has good depth. I don't think the offensive line has great depth.
I thought when you had a solid option at guard and tackle, which they did. I mean, Latovsky and Evans were there with Mazuka, and then you had 3 tackles. Like you had one
pretty good.
You had one capable guy because you don't sub on the O-line, Steve Sipple.
No, I know.
Like, remember that used to drive like old O-line coaches here crazy because the media would always ask them like, why don't you rotate more linemen in? And like Mike Cavanaugh would get just furious.
Yeah, you don't usually.
You don't rotate. You just need 5 good ones.
No, Milt didn't rotate. He would play guys in blowouts.
There might have been one swing guy that would get some reps.
Yeah, Milt Tenneper didn't rotate much.
I've always looked at this offensive line and keep this up here. They had those 4 seniors. Those are 4 dudes. Those 2 juniors. Those are, and then Jenkins. I always thought they had 7 guys that were high level or good Big Ten solid linemen. Now they're down to 6.
Yeah.
So that was the depth. To me, that's enough. If you have 7 capable players ready, but now you're down to 6.
Yeah. Now you wonder, for instance, Jason Machachak was with the 2s the other day. Sam Sledge was with the 2s. Well, all those guys. Gunnar Gatula was with the 2s. Sledge was with the 2s. Jason Machachak was with the 2s. How are those guys? Now, maybe they're fine. Maybe Donovan Raiola would say to us, why the panic? Jason Machachak's ready. He's ready to play guard if we need him. Gunnar's ready to play if we need him. So maybe in-house it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. I wonder behind closed doors what it's like.
Very rarely, though, are guys in their first and second year ready to play at a Big Ten level, unless you're an elite 5-star.
I know. I mean, we didn't even mention Bricks. Yeah, Bricks it'd be really hard ask. It'd be a hard ask
that group, I actually think Gibson Pyle is as developed as any of them because he played at a high level.
Tackle or guard.
When you guard. But who knows what he could. But you look at that group of players, Xander Ruggiolari and Gibson Pyle played the best levels of high school football. Bishop Gorman and 5-6A Texas football. So those kids have at least seen pretty high level football.
It's a real interesting situation. I don't know. It's just sometimes I think it's Nebraska media. We're so reactionary, and we've gotten more that way as they've struggled. That one injury to a second team offensive lineman elicits a ton of discussion. Now he could have been your starting offensive lineman. I honestly though, I couple the Latovsky injury with this. 2 to 3 weeks is what they're talking about with Henry Latovsky, and maybe he'll be ready for the opener. So then
that 7 is down to 5.
Right. Maybe he'll be ready for the opener. That's what Robin reported. I just think the Henry Latovsky injury is really, really something you got to watch closely.
Well, I think with Prohaska, we fell in love with a version of Prohaska that we really only saw play for 6 quarters.
2021, right?
The Northwestern game and 2 quarters against Michigan.
Yeah,
that 6 quarters is what we've all wanted to see.
That was a long time ago.
And the reality is we weren't even working together yet.
No, we weren't. It was a long time ago. 2021. Those were 2 really, really interesting games. They blew out Northwestern.
One of the best offensive games of the Frost era against Northwestern. And then they went toe-to-toe with the college football playoff team late. But Teddy,
they did go
neutralized Aiden Hutchinson for 2 quarters.
Yeah, he looked. Then, you had former offensive linemen telling us Teddy looks like a first rounder, an eventual first rounder.
Hutchinson had no sacks, no pressures.
Right.
In that first half.
So that was 2021. 2022, the injury problems started for Teddy.
Well, he came back a little quick.
Yeah.
Then he fell funny, and then that's when he hurt his shoulders.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they took the 4-game red shirt that year.
Mm-hmm. In 2023, he played.
Not till game 3, though.
Yeah. Played all right. And then you thought, okay, this is Teddy's year. Maybe. I mean, again, you're correct in emphasizing
he was still number 2
one.
though.
Yeah,
He was still number 2.
one. Yeah.
He did not take over number 1 until Turner got hurt.
Right.
So, yeah, that's something to watch. As we go to headline number 3, Husker Online Headlines is brought to you by Babbel. Have you ever wanted to learn a foreign language? Sipple and I have talked. If you could just learn Spanish, you could get pretty far in this country right now. Just the advantages.
Marketable. In a lot of ways.
You know, Babbel is an easy way, inexpensive way. You know, a lot of people don't have time to go to the community college or re-enroll in classes to learn a foreign language. They've got programs that will help you learn a new language. They've got quick 10-minute lessons with over 200 language experts that craft these lessons, and you could start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks.
You know who learned how to speak Spanish with Babbel? Mike Leach. And he did it by walking. When he walked to work, he'd walk across this field, and he would just listen to it as he was walking to work, and he learned Spanish. Bill Moose told me that story.
It would freak you out if I just learn, when I go to Miami with my wife's family in the Cuban area, you have to know Spanish. I mean,
yeah, and it would
hard.
freak me out if you came back and you could speak it fluidly. It would really mess with
my
me.
mother-in-law is a Spanish teacher.
You could do it, Sean. Maybe you don't have a lot of time.
I took Portuguese in college.
Yeah, I wish we would have known better. I wish I would have known better back then. I took German. I should have took Spanish. I wish I would have.
Yeah, German and French were like other options back. I mean, I'm sure they still offer those.
I wonder.
For French is still offered, I believe.
I don't know. I wonder if German is. I don't regret it a ton. I mean, there's benefits, but I wish I would have learned Spanish. Anyway, Babbel.
Babbel. So we got a great deal. Limited time offer for Husker Online listeners. We're going to give you 60% off a Babbel subscription, and that's only for our Husker Online listeners. Go to babbel.com/Husker, and you're going to get 60% off. You got to use babbel.com/Husker. That's Babbel, BABBEL.com/Husker. Rules and restrictions may apply. Okay, headline number 3, fall camp movers and shakers. I like this thing. We do this one a lot during fall camp. As you kind of start to look at things, and I'll throw one out. We've talked about him a lot. Jalen Gramstad is kind of a mover and shaker, a guy that 6-7 weeks ago wasn't even in Lincoln yet.
Isn't that amazing? And he has come in and made an impression. Made an impression on his teammates, made an impression on Robin, on the media during the open practice. Not surprised that he shows well. I mean, you've talked about it a lot. He played 25-1 at Northwestern. He's an athlete. I mean, he's an athlete. He's a good athlete.
If he would have went in the portal with marketing and timing, I would have been he would have had offers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he would have.
I mean,
absolutely.
For sure, group of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, if you were in the MAC or those teams.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, I would think so. So yeah, he's definitely a mover and shaker.
Well, think about Iowa last year.
Oh God, I would think they would kill for him.
I know.
I mean, he would have been great.
He led NAIA in passing yards.
Yeah,
but he's come in and he's a leader.
They went with a guy who transferred to Utah Tech. To Utah Tech, not Utah State.
It used to be called Dixie State, though. I guess they had a.
Oh, okay.
They got their name canceled.
Okay, well, still, he went to Dixie.
They had to switch it. I'm telling you, I'm not. They had to change it up
for 100.
Dixie State was not allowed.
Of course not. But anyway, that's I would say, and I'm going to say John Hole. I'm going to say John.
Another
Hole's
one,
a mover and shaker. I read your 3-2-1 column, and John Hole's kicking well.
I think he kicked at the specialist camp too.
And John Hole could. I mean, I hope John Hole has the mindset of I am going to challenge for this job. I hope to God he has that mindset.
Well, what about Mekhi Nelson?
Mekhi Nelson is a running back prospect. I'd have to see a little bit more. Now, keep in mind, Sean, that room is veteran. I mean, it's a veteran room. I just don't know. I mean, is he going to pass guys like Gabe Irvin?
Could he get reps, though, in a 4-game season, like a 4-game redshirt year?
Because there's always guys that go down. So perhaps. There's always, and I'm not even talking about guys with an injury history like Nebraska has. Guys always go down. I've been covering Nebraska football for 30 years. Running backs go down every year. I mean, that's just the nature of it. So yeah, I wouldn't be terribly surprised, but he'd have to jump some guys like Quentin Ives, and Dante Dowdell. Can he do that? They like those guys.
Yeah, they have options, but
Yeah, they do.
I do think you have to really give Matt Rule credit for the camps that they do, because
Oh yes,
Jalen Graham said they just throw this camp, and they didn't even. I mean, look, they didn't invite. I mean, I think when I first saw Jalen Gramstad there, and nobody knew who he was, like people I was around watching with, they didn't know who he was.
of course
And
they did.
I kind of thought in my mind, like, I mean, I'm thinking, like, did they kind of like put a feeler and say, hey, just come and throw for us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it felt like that. Like, why would the National Player of the Year just show up?
But they didn't put a feeler,
because they needed a fourth quarterback.
But they didn't.
They did not. They did not.
No.
The Rule didn't even know he was coming. It wasn't until like Jeff Jamrog, the Midland coach, and the Peru State coaches, they kind of briefed Matt Rule on who this guy was.
Yeah, and you talked to Jamrog during the camp, and Jamrog was freaked out
that he was there.
Yeah.
So then you have Mackay Nelson.
Mackay Nelson.
And he came to a camp this summer and earned his offer. And John Hull, I believe, kicked at the kickers camp. So another summer, it just tells you that recruiting comes at all times of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Players come in all shapes, size, and forms. Mm-hmm. And those camps matter.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
James Williams could lead this team in sacks.
Yeah, he's a candidate. He's capable.
I mean, he could have an 8-10 sack year.
Yeah, James Williams he is a fascinating character, because he could be a mover or shaker, by the way, because I still think people don't even know what we're talking about when we talk about James Williams, because he only played 4 games last year.
They kept the shirt on him.
Right. But the talk in-house, this is what I want to emphasize. The talk in-house about Williams is this could be one of the defensive stars. I mean, he could be one of the best defenders, not a bit player, not a guy that we are watching go, oh yeah, look at Williams come off the edge. That's pretty nice. And then he goes back to the sideline. No, he can play maybe 3 downs now.
Put it this way. He's every bit as regarded, in my opinion, as Princewell Umaniyala.
I think he's borderline past Princewell. Okay. Now people are going to go, okay. No, I mean,
that's why I didn't say it like that, because I want to see that to believe it. But the reports we got suggest that that's not out of the question.
No, that's a good way to put it. That's a diplomatic way to put it. Now, Princewell's hurt.
I'm a politician sometimes, aren't I?
Oh God, you'd be a marvelous politician. I don't know that was a compliment, by the way. Princewell is hurt right now. He can't. You don't want to be hurt right now with James Williams at your position.
Well, and Maverick Noonan's back.
Yeah, Noonan can play.
Kai Wallen.
Those guys can play.
Or as you would say, Kai Wallen.
Sean, those guys can play. They got some. That's why you're going to yell at me again. But the defensive line depth's much better than the offensive line depth.
You're Terrence Knighton's like press secretary right now. I mean, you like.
Well, I'm a big fan of Terrence.
He's going to come up to you and be like, "What up, big boy?"
Well, he's done a great job with that.
Oh, he's a great. I mean,
not that Donovan hasn't, and Terrence fell into a lot of it.
And look, Mike Dawson, he's at Kansas, right. Lance Leipold. He was a great defensive line coach too. I mean,
let's be honest about some of this. Ty Robinson was recruited by the former staff, Nash, former staff, Butler, former staff. I don't know. You could keep going. Now,
Cam Lenhart was recruited by Mike Dawson.
Dawson recruited Lenhart. So yeah,
I would say of the Frost coaches, arguably Dawson might have been the best.
Yeah, he did a good job
as far as recruiting and development.
Well, those guys, the guys that we talk about were recruited by him. So,
and he was offered an opportunity to stay around and, kind of off field, but he moved on. His family still lives in Lincoln. His family still is here, but he's at Kansas this year. But yeah, Dawson brought a lot of good players here. There's no doubt.
But they have done a great job of adding, and
they've added, yeah.
And I will tell you that keep your eye on Keona Wilhite.
Yeah, I was going to say Keona Wilhite. What is he weighing now?
270. That's what Terrence said the other day.
And our former HuskerOnline colleague, Matt Reynoldson, was in Tucson, covered him.
I don't know what Reynoldson said.
And said he's a great pickup by Nebraska.
God, Knighton loves him. Like, I'm talking this year, maybe you see him. Watch him.
All right, before we go to headline number 4, HuskerOnline headlines brought to you by Omaha Steaks. It is the anniversary sale for Omaha Steaks, Nebraska-based, Omaha-based company, family-run. and they've got some great deals going on that you want to take advantage of. Not only are they already doing 50% off on a lot of their items, we are going to give you another $30 off. So if you see $149, it's down $30 from that. We'll take it down to $129 or $119 at that point. So go to omahasteaks.com. You got to use the promo code HuskerOnline. That's promo code HuskerOnline. They're already doing 50% off, and in some cases more than 50% off for their special anniversary sale. But we are giving you another $30 off with the promo code HuskerOnline. Get some steaks, burgers, brats, chicken, sides, desserts. They've got it all. And run by a great friend of mine, the new president, CEO of Omaha Steaks, Nate Rempe, former Husker colleague of mine, went to school with me and does a great job. And he's a big listener of our show, by the way, Steve Sipple.
That's good. And you failed to mention the tartlet.
The apple tartlet.
It looks so good.
That right there is scary.
Oh, come on. Is it that good? Put a little ice cream on it?
I ran 4 miles this morning just so I can enjoy something like
Good
that.
job, Sean. That's what you need to do.
The wings, though, Stephen M. Sipple.
Oh, God, I bet they're good.
OmahaSteaks.com.
They better
promo
be
code
good.
HuskerOnline. $30 off. So you're going to get just a freaking cooler of meat delivered to your door.
And hope the power doesn't go out.
50% off plus another $30 with that promo code HuskerOnline. Thanks again, Omaha Steaks. Okay, recruiting update. Headline number 4. Some news to kind of track here.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
So Will Hawthorne has not announced that as we're taping this show. He might have announced by now, but expected to commit to Iowa State. In fact, he has now announced. He announced 6 minutes ago on his Twitter feed here, Will Hawthorne, a linebacker that Nebraska was recruiting. And look, I think a month ago, this was kind of it looked like Nebraska was going to get him. But Gilbert, Iowa is essentially Ames, Iowa. It's like Waverly to Lincoln.
He grew up 7 miles from Jack Trice Stadium.
It's like Waverly.
I'm sorry, 7 minutes. 7 minutes, yeah. 7 minutes. And he was a regular at Jack Trice Stadium. I was reading accounts, and as I read it, I'm like, how did Nebraska even get in on him? I kind of tipped my cap to Nebraska for even making this a horse race.
Yeah, but you're talking about the future of the game now. And
this is a discussion. Go ahead.
But when you talk about the future of where it's all heading in the resources and the arms races, the Big 12 and the ACC are going to be at significant disadvantages to the Big 10 and the SEC.
I wonder, Sean, and I'm wondering, I'm not taking you on. I'm wondering, do kids look at that closely?
But
do they look at it like, wow, the Big Ten's got a lot more money and their TV deal is better. I'm going to go there.
And it's also going to mean the Big Ten and the SEC, they're going to be a lot more cutthroat as far as like players. And with this new roster cap.
What do you mean by cutthroat?
Like letting go of players, like moving on from players.
Think so?
I mean, do the math. What's 105 divided by 15 million?
I don't know.
It's over. It's like $143,000 a player.
Okay.
So if that's the number, which that's the number being tossed around, is that 15 million of money will be in-house. There's a lot of money going to these players. That's going to go. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, the collective will still be involved with players. Mm-hmm.
Some guys are getting a lot more than 143.
Right. The pressure, though, for these players to perform, because you're no longer an amateur.
Not really.
You're making more money than 90% of people in the state of Nebraska as an 18-year-old kid.
Wow. That's great perspective, Sean.
I mean, it's like, how many people on the stands make $143,000 a year? Right. Not a lot.
Not a lot.
I mean, some obviously a lot, but not a good majority.
No. So Hawthorne picks Iowa State. And now that it's done and you go back and read some of the stuff he has said, it's not overly surprising. It's interesting. I'll give you an example. He talks about the facilities at Iowa State. They're so great. They have such a great training facility there. They're brand new. He talks about the relationship with the coaches. So all things being equal, if he's looking at facilities, likes Iowa State's, Nebraska's got good facilities, great facilities, but if Iowa State does too, the relationship with the coaches are pretty even, then maybe, you just stay home.
And they've done a good job of getting their local players this year. Alex Mansky, the top player in Iowa, 4-star quarterback, he's at Iowa State. Jack Limbaugh, actually a Husker legacy. His dad played. Amber Holmquist is his mom. He's committed to Iowa State.
Yeah. The pull of home is really strong. But God, there was a time you really liked Will Hawthorne going to Nebraska.
I mean, I liked Alex Mansky at one point, but then Raiola committed.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, then we have another one closer to home.
Christian Jones.
Really interesting.
And he has now said, he told On3 Steve Wilfong that he's looking probably by like week 3 of the season to have a decision, and Oklahoma and Nebraska are in that conversation. Miami, I believe Wisconsin.
It's Oklahoma, Miami, Nebraska.
Those are the 3 main ones.
3.
But Oklahoma and Nebraska are the 2 places he's taken official visits to.
And he's got to take another official.
Well, Miami's a potential player now.
Yeah. He's going to take an official to Miami during the season, I think. Anyway, if you read the article by Wilfong, if you read it and you just are reading tea leaves, it looks like Oklahoma to me. It looks like Oklahoma. Oh, my God. Nebraska fans are going to be mad that I said that. But what do you think?
I think that's the feel right now. But I do think losing Hawthorne this week, now that it's official, I think Nebraska's had a pretty good read on Hawthorne not coming for a week, maybe close to a week.
Okay.
That's when we found out about Hawthorne, I know. But I would say that it's freed up some more resources and opportunity. So, like, if NIL is the issue, I think Nebraska can do what needs to be done. And they're going to give Christian Jones a very good opportunity through NIL. But it's a matter of what he wants and what he's looking for. And maybe he's waiting 2 or 3 weeks because he wants to see what this looks like.
I know.
He doesn't want to get
caught.
I
don't think there's any question.
He's not going to get caught just drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
And then not liking getting buyer's remorse. Like, if Nebraska comes out early and looks great, that's a good sign.
Oh, I think the Christian Jones recruitment, for instance, I don't think it hinges on the Colorado game, but I think it could be affected by the Colorado game. He's not. I mean, I just wonder if part of the reason he's announcing 3 games into his high school season is what he's saying is because he wants to see what Nebraska looks like out of the gate. You just wonder if that's part of this. He says he loves Venables. I mean, he obviously has a great relationship with Brent Venables, the Oklahoma head coach. That if you're reading that article by Steve Wilfong, which I encourage people to do because he comments on each of the schools, Christian Jones comments on each of the schools. If you read it, I think you say, "Oh God, those are very glowing comments on Oklahoma." You know, in Nebraska, it's that same conversation we have all the time. It's kind of a wait and see. You know, that it looks like they have a good thing going, but you want to see it. The Nebraska conversation to me is really, really interesting because I hear you all the time saying they got to win. I hear you told your friend today they got to win. There's a balance though. It's only year 2. It's just year 2 of Rule. I mean, there shouldn't be an excessive amount of pressure, right?
Well, I mean, a winning record for crying out loud. I think I'm not talking about winning the Big Ten here.
Right, I know.
I'm talking about like a simple milestone of going back to a bowl game.
Okay.
I want to scramble in an airport with you during the holiday season.
I do too, Sean.
I want to see a stressed out Steve Sipple.
And let's face it, the other part of the conversation that's in your favor, I guess, it's fair. It's a good roster. It would be really disappointing to me if they didn't make a bowl with this roster. This is a bowl game.
Well, in the schedule.
Yeah.
Look, Frost had a roster in 2021.
Yeah.
That was good enough to definitely make a bowl game.
100.
I mean, they went toe-to-toe with Michigan and Ohio State. Toe-to-toe.
Toe-to-toe.
And they didn't make up. They went 3-9.
Think about some of the guys on that team.
But they played 8 opponents that won 9 or more games. 8 opponents.
Yep. Not this year. I mean, I think
their first 7. Do you know how many teams they play that went to a bowl game?
1.
Rutgers. I mean, come on.
Right.
Come on.
No, you're right.
Come on.
It's scheduled, but it's also roster. It's a good roster. They're good.
And the road games are like Purdue and Indiana are manageable road trips.
Not easy.
USC will be interesting because if Nebraska is in a good position, there will be a lot of Nebraska fans that go out there.
God, dang, I'd like to see them beat USC on the road.
Well, and do you understand that night game in Iowa? Having it at night opens up the door for so many more Nebraska fans.
Yeah.
Because the challenge at an 11 a.m. game on Black Friday.
I can't get there.
Well, I mean, it just kind of cuts into your Thanksgiving and you got to leave early, like 5 a.m. You're still
and there's seats available.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
there's seats.
They're good. If Nebraska is like 7-4 or better, 8-3, something like that.
God, 8-3 would be.
Can you imagine what that game will be like here?
Yeah.
People will load up on the interstate and go out there and stay out there. And I mean, they want.
Oh yeah, if Nebraska's 8-3, there'll be a lot.
I mean, they've lost these games to Iowa by like a field goal almost every year, and Iowa fans hold that over them like there's this major gap between the two programs, and there is when you measure the win versus loss, but they're very close in a lot of respects.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
But they rub it in Nebraska's face any way they get. And Nebraska fans would love to go to Iowa City and see a win. And Iowa's going to be good this year.
Defenses are going to be really hard to deal with. Their defense is going to be really hard to deal with.
And they too have a great schedule. Like Nebraska, Iowa, Rutgers might have the best schedules in the Big Ten.
So yeah, interesting discussion, Sean. Anyway, I 100% agree with you that the recruiting element needs a winning season, a good winning season.
And there's that Iowa schedule. Look at that schedule.
I'm looking.
Iowa State week 2, at Minnesota and at Ohio State. That's a sneaky stretch right there.
It is. Minnesota's very much a rivalry game for Iowa, so it adds to it. That's manageable.
Hey,
any schedule though now. I mean, that schedule's harder than Nebraska.
Don't
tell you that.
Don't sleep on at UCLA at Maryland.
I'm not.
That's a tough back-to-back stretch.
I'm not sleeping on Sean. That schedule's tougher than Nebraska's. It's tougher.
It is weird to me Nebraska's not playing Northwestern or Minnesota.
That is weird.
The first year since Nebraska's been a Big Ten member, they will not play those teams.
Real weird.
Iowa will be the only opponent Nebraska's played now all 14 years they've been in this league.
Let's cap this segment. Hold on. How would you feel about Nebraska's recruiting class? How would it impact it if they don't get either Jones or Hawthorne?
I would say that if they have a good year, they're going to keep recruiting Dawson Merritt.
Okay.
I think they're going to keep trying things like that. I mean, look, if they have a good season and they have something to sell, don't ever underestimate putting the salesman on the road when they have something to sell.
Right.
All right. Before we get to headline number 5, thanks for watching HuskerOnline. Headlines are brought to you by Hello Fresh. And let me tell you, we've worked with a lot of these companies over the years, and I can tell you without a doubt, Hello Fresh is the best one we've ever worked with as far as all the different things they give you. You pick 2 or 3 things online, 4 things, whatever you want. And we were doing it for most of the spring, where you're getting a box of 2 meals for 4 people. And you pick between like 30 or 40 options every week.
Mm-hmm.
My kids loved it. We had a lot of fun doing it. My daughters would help me cook in the kitchen, and they give you all the ingredients to make. And you can make these meals in 30 minutes. So this is not like a frozen meal delivered to your door. These are like fresh ingredients, fresh produce, fresh meats, all the spices, everything you need. And you make it in your own kitchen at home. And that's at Hello Fresh. And they've got a great deal for our HuskerOnline listeners to take advantage of. They're going to give you a free breakfast item for life at HelloFresh.com/free Husker. That's HelloFresh.com/free Husker. So for every box you order while your subscription is active, and you get a box once a week, they give you free breakfast for life. That's at HelloFresh.com/Husker, /free Husker. Excuse me. That's HelloFresh.com/free Husker. And the more boxes you order, you start to get rewards and free things. It's a really good deal. When you add up what it costs to go grocery shopping, it's almost a more efficient way to do things.
Ooh,
like you go to the store and you're like, wait a minute, I just paid like $8 for a cucumber.
Right.
I mean, I'm exaggerating.
No, you're barely exaggerating, but yeah. I know what you're talking about.
You're like, wait a minute, how is this $8?
Well, yeah, I brought a container of watermelon. Cut up watermelon. It was like $8. I was like, what am I doing here?
HelloFresh.com/free Husker for that free breakfast item for life. And I just had some breakfast from there this morning. Excellent little egg bites. But okay.
Little egg bites.
Headline 5. The NCAA rules on Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. Whoop-de frickin' do.
Well, I couldn't disagree more with you.
Jim Harbaugh is out of college football.
Yeah.
He's coaching in the NFL. He's got a show cause and these penalties attached to him that will penalize him if he ever comes back to the college football game. Well, guess what? Jim Harbaugh's not coming back to college football.
I just wonder, though, Sean, how it feels to read, like if you were his son or his daughter, that your dad can't come back to NCAA. He's banned from college football. I disagree with you on this. I don't say whoop-de-doo. That's not small.
Well,
Jim Harbaugh is very cognizant of his reputation. Being banned from college football is not small. What if I were banned from college football? I mean, I'd not feel good about it.
Unfortunately, though, we live in a country now where you pick a side and somebody might be found guilty or committed a crime, and very high profile. I'm not going to get into politics, but very high profile people in this country on both sides have had these things happen, and you stick with your side.
Yeah.
So I would imagine Jim Harbaugh and his side still believe they're fully innocent.
If he believes that, he's delusional. The NCAA has a strong case against him. And I'm not talking about Connor Stallions. This is not about Connor Stallions. This is about recruiting violations during COVID. They have him dead to rights, and he will not acknowledge it. No, this is a bad look for
So they had recruits on campus during COVID?
He had, for instance, a breakfast with a recruit who remembers him buying a hamburger, and they have the receipt of his hamburger, and he denies it. He absolutely had breakfast with a recruit and the recruiting coordinator. The recruit and his father denies it. He's dead to rights. This isn't a good look for him. And to be banned from the college game is not small. No, he's not going back. He can't go back. He had to get out. He probably knew this was coming.
Well, the NCAA.
I love Harbaugh too. I love the guy, but he doesn't look good in this because he's very self-righteous. He's very, I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal. Well, he got caught in a lie. I mean, he got caught in a lie.
Well, 4 or 5 years from now, what is the NCAA? What is college football? It may not even matter.
It matters right now. All I know is if he wanted to get back into the game, he wouldn't be able to because he's banned. That's not a good look.
But who would hire him in college football?
Well, nobody right now. He'd have to fail miserably at who would hire him. Now, what if he failed it with the Chargers and he was clean? Every school in the country would hire him. That's the answer to that question.
Like UCLA or somebody.
Oh my God, USC, if that job opened and Jim Harbaugh was available, they wouldn't hire him. He was arguably the best coach going at it last year. No, this isn't good. He had to get out. He's lucky he got out because he would have been banned for a year.
He escaped the execution posse.
No, this is bad. Now, is the Stallions thing bad? I don't know. A lot of people will tell you it doesn't look good for him.
But the NCAA, like North Carolina, literally got caught like having athletes cheat and do all these things on academics. Nothing happened to them.
I know, but all I'm telling you,
Kansas
I don't want to do that.
was involved in a wiretapping thing where they were like legitimately paying basketball players. With the FBI involved, and nothing happened to college basketball.
I'm not necessarily.
I just think no one takes it serious. You do, I guess, but
no. I mean, I don't know that nobody takes it seriously. He can't come back to college game. That's not serious to you?
I look at all the things that have happened.
If that was your dad, would you look at that and go, God, Dad, you couldn't go back to the college game?
I think most people stick with their side, stick with their family, and they probably believe he's innocent. They probably stick with him.
That's ridiculous.
They do. That's the country we freaking live in.
That's ridiculous. He's not innocent. I mean, he got caught. He got caught recruiting during COVID. Now, is that a really serious offense? Not really. Well, it depends. He broke the rules. He blatantly broke the rules. Okay, he blatantly is. If you're okay with that, I guess that's your business. But I don't know that you can blatantly break rules and expect no consequences. Right?
Yeah, it's.
I love him. I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan. There's a big hole.
They got the trophy. I mean, if they would have taken away the national title, but again, what is that? I mean,
doesn't mean anything.
Like Reggie Bush just got his Heisman back.
Yeah, I don't think that means a lot when they vacate wins. I've never felt that means a lot. But that's not what this is. This is a ban from college football.
Over the last 20 years, there's probably only been 2 of these NCAA rulings to me that have been really penalizing: Penn State and the scholarship reduction,
and bowl ban.
And then the
bowl ban,
and then USC's.
Yeah,
those have been the only 2 that have really been damaging.
Sean, I want to continue on this Michigan, Jay. That he left them in a mess. Let's just be honest about it. He left Michigan in a mess. He got out. He's making $80 million.
They got the national title,
right? But he left it. Sharon Moore's going to get suspended now. You know that Sharon Moore's about to get suspended for a few games.
I would be surprised if Michigan is any better than 8-4 this year.
partially because
of
this is a major distraction.
One Harbaugh at least was kind of.
I think you're coming around.
No,
on my side
I mean
on this.
Harbaugh was good enough to coach them through.
He was
last year.
It's marvelous.
I compare like Sharon Moore coming in to like Frank Solich replacing Tom Osborne. Like
100.
Like it's
a big drop off.
Frank.
Easy. I gotta be careful.
Frank's a good coach, but he's not Tom Osborne.
No, I mean, come on, it's Osborne.
The '98 roster had national championship level talent.
Yeah, are we
and
comparing
they went
Harbaugh?
They went 9-4.
Yeah,
that's what Michigan's going to be like to me.
Yeah, Harbaugh was clicking on all cylinders, and I'm not suggesting that recruiting during COVID gave him a huge edge, but the fact is he was recruiting during COVID, and you weren't supposed to.
You were only supposed to sit at home and watch Tiger King,
which I did.
I couldn't get into that one.
I got into it. I did.
It was like Tiger King and The Last Dance.
The Last Dance was incredible.
Last Dance was
so incredible. Good. It was incredible. You couldn't miss that. Tiger King was not as good as The Last Dance.
All right.
I was into Ozark at that time too. Maybe there was a rerun. But
as we wrap it up here,
that was good, Sean. I like when we disagree.
Next Thursday, August 15th, we are going to have a special live Husker Online show. You are invited to attend. There is no cover, no charge.
No cover.
Attend. August 15th at the Zipline Beer Hall and Tap House there on 56 and Pine Lake Road, right next to Campbell's Nursery in that Village Gardens area. They're going to have $3 pints on special for the entire time we're there, starting at 5 o'clock. The show's at 6:30. Robin, Abby, Sip, our whole gang will be out there for a special 1 hour live preseason show as we get you ready for this 2024 season. We want to meet you. We want to talk to you. We know we have a lot of great fans and listeners of the show. There's also going to be a lot of prizes.
And what kind of prizes?
Well, Zipline prizes, beer, gift cards.
You know what you could do too if you're just a average Joe? Come out and try the Zipline. Just come out and try it. See what
there's going to be food available, I believe, as well. Like you can get food next door right now at their neighbor Art and Soul, but I think they're working on actually having food from the Zipline available out there too.
Come out and have a Zipline, and some of their and the food is, as we discovered last night, is fabulous.
And our relationship with them has been great. We were told last night in the 6 weeks we advertised and worked with them, they had their best sales since the pandemic of Zipline beer. So we thank you as HuskerOnline listeners for helping make our sponsor. It's been a great relationship.
Yeah. And I don't, me, Sean, I don't tout stuff that I don't like. I like that. That beer was good.
Oh, we had it was great last night.
Yeah.
I stuck with the light ones.
I like the light ones.
I had to get up and run in the morning. So
I liked what I had, whatever the hell it was. It was good.
Zip Light.
Yeah, Zip Light.
Whatever the hell.
It was good. It was legit good. I enjoyed it.
And you had about 15 wings.
I just was out of control and you didn't even notice, which is good. That's good. I was reaching around people
like a goat or
a coyote. I was like reaching over the table, and I at one point I had to tell, like, my inner voice was like, all right, you need to settle down.
Well, again, August 15th, Zipline, 56 Pine Lake Road. We want to see you out there. It's going to be a fun night. Tons of Husker talk, prizes.
What are we going to talk about?
I've already formatted the show. It's just going to be laid out simple.
You're amazing.
Opening headlines, offensive headlines, defensive headlines of the season. Abby's going to do a mailbag, and we're going to do a Big Ten segment.
Awesome. All right. I'll get
one thing I've learned doing this show over 500 straight weeks?
What?
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. There'll be developments. There's always stuff to talk about.
Don't overthink it. The format works, and the numbers show that. So we appreciate all our listeners, and we hope to see you out at Zipline next Thursday night for that special Husker Online live show. For Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan, signing off here for this week's Husker Online Headlines.